Now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime. That's great. This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh. That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it. Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
7 minutes after 4 o'clock, 4:07 on the 24th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I want to show you the kind of guy I am to my partners on the air. All right, now, everybody look at Chris. Now, I don't know if you know, Tom, but Chris was gone all weekend.
No.
He ran away from home. Him and a buddy got held up in a St. Louis casino or hotel, and they went to a geek game board convention.
No, I did not. This is news to me, Mac.
Yeah, right. What's it called? The
Geek Way to the West.
Geek Way to the West. The person you went down with got the flu, and now you've got it. So why are you sitting in here talking to us, spreading your germs around? Poor Tom here at his age, he can't afford to get like a pneumonia or anything. You know how Frank feels about germs. So why don't you just go home and kiss no, don't kiss anybody. Just go home and go to bed. You and your kitty.
Have a kitty?
He's got a kitty, but the kitty doesn't like him.
I'm the only person that cat will not sit with.
So you're welcome to stay, but you look and sound terrible. I'm just telling you. Jebediah, scale of 1 to 10. 1 being he's okay, 10 he's about ready to die. What do you give him?
Well, I shook his hand yesterday, and I kind of feel a little under the weather today, so I don't know. I'm going to go with a 2.
2. How about you, Tom?
He doesn't look the best.
Right.
He doesn't look the best. So, yeah, I think Mac's advice is probably good. I'd like to have you here, Chris. But
he looks fine. He's just dragging. He
doesn't
look fine.
No, he doesn't
look
good.
fine.
No.
And if he doesn't get well, we're going to have to call McLaren's, and they're going to have to order that big piano case casket thing. So
now he's got good color. His cheeks look fine. He just
going to have to order up the Husky
dragging.
casket for him, are you?
Yeah. What's this? Bob, you're the expert here on dead bodies.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 he's okay, 10 he's dead. How do you think Chris looks today?
Can we go to 11 or 12?
I think a happy 16 would be just fine.
When some of the old codgers that I used to know used to work for a rental car agency and transport cars around, we had one guy that they used to pick on all the time. They'd say, Keith, you don't look too good today. And he'd say, well, pretty soon he'd get up and he'd go in the bathroom and he'd start pulling his eyelids down. And he'd say, well, as a matter of fact, I don't feel too good. So he'd go home. But we was all putting him up to it. So
the power of positive thinking.
The power of negative thinking.
All right, so Chris, you just go ahead and do whatever you want to do. It's your call. I don't care. Yes, Thomas, we were talking about whistleblowers.
Yes, I didn't get to the whistleblower, which is the one.
Hey, now we're in the middle of something. You can't go while we're in the middle of something. You're going to walk right behind my camera, and everybody on Webcast 1 is going to see the big blue wet.
There he is.
Kind of disappearing there.
He's kind of like a ghost, isn't he?
Yeah, look at that.
Hey, he's already got 1 foot into the grave.
Yep. That's because he wore a green shirt. All right, so this big thing with Prairie Meadows getting turned on by the state or the federal government with taxes, and now have they lost their tax-exempt status, or is that still in question?
They're going to appeal it. Did you see the basis and the rationale for the appeal? I mean, they're going to go back to some ancient English law to base some of their appeal on. They've got people hired. They've got an ex-IRS agent. They're going to pull out all the stops to at least drag it on. I think they see the handwriting on the wall. I think they've seen it for a long time. And that's part of the reason, ostensibly, that they will not release their minutes. They're a nonprofit. They should be. In fact, their papers after them. I'm for the first time in 25 years, to paraphrase Michelle Obama, I'm actually proud of my own town's newspaper.
Oh my! You may have to get a new subscription brought to the Coates house.
Des Moines Tribune is falling off their chairs right now.
Yeah.
Hey, the Tribune's been gone for years. Santa
The
Claus.
Register.
You're dating yourself.
The Register wants them to be transparent. They want them to release the minutes. They won't do it.
Well, don't they have to?
I think they have to, but they've got lawyers and barristers that throw up some legal arguments that they don't have to. But it's just like with Hillary Clinton. She won't release her transcripts to her speeches to the Wall Street bankers. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that they don't want to release their minutes to try to at least appear transparent, because there's things in that. I think they knew a long time ago that the jig was up. Now, Maggie Moss has been accused of being the whistleblower.
Ooh.
And she,
boy, that is like mob stuff.
Well, and her dad was. Well, I don't think it's any big secret that she comes from that stock.
But I'm just mean the casino, the tax status,
That's
who
what it
blow
is.
the whistle, millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh yeah,
in
we're
back taxes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I have not seen the number. We're going back to 2012, so there's 12, 13, 14, and 15, and we're into 16 now that they've not paid any federal taxes. And this is an entity that generates, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in revenue. So. Also, the other one that has been actively bandied about, not actively in the press, but privately, is Gary Kirk. Both those people have some legitimate gripes about Prairie Meadows. Gary Kirk was, again, his company was one of the two partners that thought they were on the verge of would have been a very profitable metro area casino.
In Warren County.
No. We're talking about going back to 2004, where they were going to put the one in the Des Moines area.
Yeah, right.
That Prairie Meadows went and gave $6 million plus to, and every year since, to keep they or anybody else out. So Gary Kirk has a legitimate gripe. I think Maggie Moss has some legitimate gripes, and they have been the two prominent ones that the speculation is about the whistleblower.
What's Maggie's deal?
She, according to what I read in the paper on Sunday, has a number of gripes about the management and the running and the treatment of the horses and so on and so forth. Although I have said for a long time, and I'm saying it definitely now, that those horses' days are very numbered. If you like to watch horses run out of Prairie Meadows, you better hurry up and get it done, because I think certainly within the next 2 years, and I think it's even problematic that maybe next year those horses, the plug gets pulled on. $20 to $30 million a year gets sunk into horse races out there, and that's on an annual basis. So it's a tremendous drag on the profitability of that operation to subsidize those horses every year. Yes, Frank?
What was Meskwakie's original take on that they were offering the city of Des Moines, or was offering somebody $10 million at the time? I don't know if that was a one-time offer or per year or whatever, to keep the slots out of Prairie. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, yeah, because getting a little into the weeds, but the tribal casinos in this state only came into being once the riverboats allowed. And even when the riverboats were allowed, they had $5 maximum per wager and $200 loss per day limits when the riverboats were first put in the state of Iowa along the rivers, ostensibly to generate the regeneration of the cities along the river. Well, Tama in particular, they're the biggest. They went from just being a bingo parlor to being a casino, but they observed the limits. They only had a $5 limit and a $200 loss per day. Once the limits were taken off because of the pressures when Illinois got in, they got tired of having their pockets picked. They got in, they lifted the limits, and then the Tama Casino could come in. And they don't pay any taxes. They're a black hole, and they're not subject to any regulation either. When I and my company ran the 1-800-BETS off up until the year 2000, we got a lot of calls from people that were complaining to us about the cheating that was going on in the tribal casinos, the short counts on the buckets, the cheating on the tables. If they were a big winner, they get hit in the head and robbed in the parking lot. The only place they had for redress on that was the tribal council, and that's like going to the head of the thieves that the thieves had just robbed you. But yes, I think they did. They felt that it would siphon some of their money off, and I think there was a deal on the table. I don't remember the details, but yes, I think you're right. Going back to the whistleblower, Mac, I am told, no evidence, but I am told, and it makes a lot of sense, that it's an East Coast firm. Again, we're dealing with one of the top 10 nonprofits in the country, and this whistleblower, well, what's a group, a specialist group of whistleblowers, what's their incentive? Well, it's kind of like a bounty hunter. It's like the old-time bounty hunter.
The IRS gives them...
They give them a piece of the action. And in this case, this is a whale. This is not a small fish they're pulling out for being a whistleblower and digging up the goods. So they were probably in digging up information for quite a while before the IRS finally took the action a year and a half ago. But now, when it comes back around and those taxes are finally paid from Prairie Meadows to the IRS gives a piece of the action to that whistleblower.
What kind of profit does Prairie Meadow generate annually?
Oh, Frank, I don't know off the top of my head. But we're talking about big money. We're talking about big money, and so that's, I think, who did it. Now, whether anybody else wouldn't need to be anybody else. When you are that big and that inconsistent with the basis, because this is a specialist firm, they understand the rules and regs of the IRS, and they would know that inherently a big casino like Prairie Meadows should not be under the guise of a 501c4. But they were, and so it wouldn't take much digging around to come up with things like executive salaries or the payment $6 million a year to the city of Des Moines to keep out private competition to give you evidence and buttressing your argument that the IRS should revoke that 501c4 status, and that's what they've done.
So does the motel out there, does that fall under a tax-free status too?
I don't know the answer to that, Frank. I haven't dug in, but since it is owned by the track, my guess is it is. I don't know the answer to that, but I suspect it's under the same things we're talking about this downtown hotel.
All right, Tom Coates in the house from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat. We've got some chats to share with you when we come back. Also, Shane Vanderhart, big cruise guy. Now he's a hashtag Never Trump guy. I want to talk to him about that. So do you. 515-244-0077. Your voice I want to hear live in Mac's World on 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza, and it's got Graziano sausage.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 4 o'clock, 4:21 in the afternoon, live, 24th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I am J. Michael McCoy. Don't forget that Weiss Merkel Financial is always here for you. We had them on yesterday. Loved your questions, by the way. Thank you for your texts and your phone calls. That really jazzes those guys up when they can hear my listeners, you, calling in and asking questions. Bob went to the Empower University.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
On last Thursday, and he's going again this Thursday, so we've got firsthand knowledge of what goes on there. But they are retirement specialists, and I wish I would have listened to them 20 years ago. I really did. I just wasn't paying any attention. I was good at making money. I didn't save money. I just reinvested it. And now I could have done a better job with my retirement. And that's what Weiss Merkel Financial can tell you. All right, 515-244-0077. I know I've got a caller here, but I don't see who they might be, so I'll just simply jump in and say, hi, you're live in Mac's World. Who's this? Hello? Hello?
Hey, this is Shane Vanderhart.
Oh, Mr. Vanderhart. So nice to hear from you. I remember now you were calling in. I've been talking about you for the last hour, so thanks for being here today. Tom Coates is here. Of course, Frank's here. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, and Jebediah is producing. What were you going to say?
Oh, I thought you were talking to somebody else.
No, I was talking to you because Jebediah is supposed to put the name up on my little screen here, and Frank, have you noticed how Jebediah's kind of going downhill lately?
Slacking?
Yeah.
Goldberging?
He came in so strong. I think it was like his 14th show. It was perfect. How many shows did it take you to get perfect?
One. Oh.
Yeah,
a whole lot.
A couple rings around the trunk. But anyway, so Shane, you can hear everybody, and everybody can hear you. So here's the $1 million question. First of all, I'm going to make some statements. You tell me if you disagree.
Okay.
You're smart. Right?
Well,
you're a smart guy. I'm not saying you're genius, but you're a smart guy.
I'm moderately intelligent.
Okay. You obviously it's in the genes because I understand your daughter is now becoming even more than moderately intelligent, and she's kind of taken after Daddy's footsteps, following the political ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She takes after her mom. Yeah.
You've got one of the oldest political blogs in the state of Iowa, if not the oldest, which means the most experienced. I don't mean old as in aged, but like a fine wine, you've been around a long time and you've got connections. You know who to call. You know where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, well, when they tell me anyway, yeah.
Okay. So why aren't you behind the subjected... what's the word I want? The assumed Republican nominee Donald Trump. You're a hashtag Never Trump guy.
Right. And basically, my position is that I look at Mr. Trump's character. I look at some of the things he said to women. I look at where he on the issues, which has been all over the place, and I'm not sure if I could trust anything he says. I come to a different conclusion than I do when it comes to the general election, and I'm just to the point where I just can't. My conscience does not allow me to vote for Donald Trump. But I'll say my conscience is your conscience. I think everybody has to pray about where they're going to land this general election. And I've decided I'm looking for option C. I'm not sure who that is yet, but I'm looking.
All right. Are you looking for option C, because you feel a debt to the nation, an obligation to the nation to vote, but you can't pick one of the top two?
Yeah, I take my voting responsibility seriously. I've heard some people might stay home. I would certainly discourage that for the sake of down races because there are a lot of good candidates running for Congress, for Senate, for state Senate, for Iowa House, for county supervisor. We need to make sure that we're engaged and we're involved in the political process that way. We have a right to vote. I think it's incumbent upon us to exercise it. So I would never stay home. I would prefer to find somebody I can get behind in the presidential race. I'm not entirely sure who that is because I'm looking at obviously I'm never Hillary too. I could never vote for her. I'm looking at the Libertarian Party as a potential option, but Gary Johnson has some problems. I'm not sure I could support him, so maybe there might be an independent candidate that arises. I don't know.
Do you have a pencil and paper close to you?
Yeah.
Okay, write this down.
Okay.
Trump's the better, or no, Trump is the lesser of two evils. Does that make you feel better?
No.
Oh.
Why vote for evil?
Shane Vanderhart is my guest today. Caffeinated Thoughts is his blog. His radio program is heard at 8 o'clock every Saturday morning, and then again at 6 o'clock Saturday night here on 99.3 The Truth. Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines is in the house. Frank, you want to talk? Oh, wait. First of all, we have a text from the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. Here is Bob Montserrat with your text.
Yes, this one is option C means he's voting for Hillary. And the chat says hashtag Never Trump equals hashtag Hillary Clinton 2020.
What do you think to say about that there, Mr. Vanderhart?
I understand where they're coming from, but I'm not voting for Hillary. I'm voting for whoever I end up voting for. For one thing, it's assuming, first of all, that my vote was going to be Donald Trump's, and then it's not a 2-vote swing. Some people, I think, are engaging Common Core math when they think this. My vote for somebody else is a vote for them, not for Hillary Clinton. So, I would disagree with that. I'm also, my vote is not be assumed. It shouldn't be. I never took a loyalty pledge to the Republican Party. They should never assume, a candidate should never assume that they just automatically, because of my party registration. That's the party I closely identify with, and I choose to participate in the primary process. Doesn't mean that, my vote is due the presumptive nominee.
Hey, Shane, this is Frank. I have a kind of a short statement and then a question for you, follow-up question. In my book, a vote that isn't against Hillary ends up being a vote for her, no matter how principled your stand is. If you're third party, you stay at home, whatever the reason, it's going to take all hands on deck to beat this woman. It's going to be a full throat to the mat attack to even beat her. So that's just my feeling. But let me ask you this question. I understand if you want to vote your conscience, but are you running, or anybody running an active campaign to vote other people's conscience as like moving on some hashtag Never Trump thing as an active campaign, or is this just a personal vote against your conscience?
Well, Trump ultimately is about an individual saying, I am choosing not to vote for Never Trump. I'm choosing not to vote for Trump. It doesn't. It's not saying that we think somehow we're going to beat him with a third party candidate. I know there was some assumption. Some people saying Never Trump movement's dead, and I'm thinking if you're saying that, you don't really understand what it's about. Donald Trump could end up winning the presidency of the United States. And I'll say this, if he surprises me, if he makes some good decisions, I'll be the first to say I'm delightfully surprised, and mea culpa, I was wrong. he has the opportunity to win my vote for a re-election campaign.
What have you thought about his 11 Supreme Court possibilities and the list of his potential vice president candidates? Is that swayed your opinions at all on him?
Not really, because it doesn't outweigh all the other stuff I'm concerned about. Again, if he ends up making great Supreme Court appointments, wonderful. Again, he has the opportunity to win my vote re-election campaign. However, there's nothing in his history that makes me believe that he's actually going to follow through on anything he said he's going to do. That's my opinion. We're talking about the difference between Trump and Hillary, and frankly, to me, from my perspective, I see it as voting between nationalism. Some would even say fascism. Don't think Hitler. Just think of what fascism is, and socialism. It's choose your poison pill. I choose neither.
All right, now Shane Vanderhart. I always want to call you Vanderwell. I don't know why I want to do that. You and I got into a conversation on Facebook the other day, and the question I think you asked me was, what's my bottom when it comes to who I would... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, where's the line? Where's your line? What line will you not cross? Who would you not vote for, even if they have an R behind their name? I guess where's the standard?
Well, I would hope to think I have one. To be honest with you, I would hope to think I have one. And at one point, I think you know this from listening to the show, I was kind of leaning towards Trump. And then he made that comment in Sioux City that, his supporters, he could go out into Manhattan, shoot somebody, and his supporters would still vote for him. And what I heard him say was, Mac is such an idiot and so naive, he'd still vote for him if I did the worst thing possible that Mac thinks to a human, and that would be to take their life. So I didn't caucus for him. I caucused for the little short guy, Rubio. But now it's Trump and it's Hillary. And Hillary, here's the funny thing, Shane, and it's the 24th of May, only the 24th of May. I'm afraid by the time we get to the 24th of October, which would be, a week and a half before the national election, that Clinton and Trump have beat each other so bad, beat each other up so bad, that they both just look horrible. Now, is that when a third candidate comes rising in on a white horse? Well, I don't know. What?
Well, I would say we're already at that point, and I don't need to wait till October. I think they both look horrible right now. And frankly, I think Donald Trump was probably the weakest candidate we could have nominated to run against Hillary, but he's fortunate in that she is so unpopular, it could keep him in the race. And right now it looks like he's surging, at least looking at national polls, even though battleground state poll much closer right now. So he's probably, you got most unpopular candidates running against each other, and it's like, wow, I never thought we'd get to this point where that's who we end up fielding. Shocking to me.
Well, it'll be interesting to have you on the show and hear you talk with Brian on your show, Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock, Saturday night, 6 o'clock, Caffeinated Thoughts here on 99.3. Because I just have a feeling that when it comes down to it, either Trump is going to be somebody you can stomach, or there is an actual third candidate that has a chance to split the vote and become president. Because otherwise, if that third party candidate comes out of the conservative side, Hillary wins. If that third party candidate comes out of the liberal side, Trump wins. I think there is there 40% in the middle? Do we have 20, 20, and 40? I don't know. You hang on, Shane. We're going to have you back. Hold on just a minute. We're coming up on a break. Shane Vanderhart from Caffeinated Thoughts on the radio with us. His hashtag Never Trump. That's what we're talking about live here on The Truth. By the way, Steve Deace scheduled this Friday for this very same conversation right here on 99.3 FM.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, 24th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Thanks for joining us. We do this every afternoon from 3 to 5. It's called Max World Live. Coming up at 5 o'clock tonight, Salem Radio Network News. And then Ask Hank. Ask the Bible Answer Man. 1-888-ASK Hank. It's a worldwide live show, and you can get it exclusively here on 99.3. All right, Shane Vanderhart from Caffeinated Thoughts is on the phone with us today. Frank's in studio along with Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat, watching the Service Legends text line, Truth text line, 515-809-0993. And Tom Coates is in the house, and you had a question for Shane.
Well, Shane, I've got good to talk to you again. And you and I generally agree on most of the points, I believe, but not on this one. We mentioned Steve Dace earlier, and I remember well what a poisoned environment Steve Dace set up for Mitt Romney. And I also know how many millions of people stayed home during that last election that allowed Mitt Romney to not come to victory, and what a different nation we've got today as if we'd have had Mitt Romney. He was ostensibly, according to Steve Dace, the lesser of two evils, and he was going to stand on principle, and he was never going to support the lesser of two evils. So we got the most transformative socialist, Muslim-loving president that I could ever imagine in Barack Obama. Now, if nothing else would persuade you, I would think this decision that came in front of the Supreme Court the other day, that came down 4-4 on the little the nuns. Mac, you mentioned the nuns, the Little Sisters of the Poor.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if we'd had the fifth one, it would have been a 5-4. That Supreme Court sets up, especially with the age and the situation, the next president could well not just appoint a successor to Scalia, but could well appoint another 2 to 3 Supreme Court justices that will transform. Because these liberal judges, they care nothing about the Constitution. They want to elicit the change, the social change that people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton want to do. They will throw the Constitution under the bus. They will have us in a socialist utopia, and they won't care about the checks and balances of the powers. So I think if nothing else, Shane, you got to consider, and Trump has laid out, smartly so, a list of 11 potential Supreme Court justices that Frank mentioned in the last segment. That, if nothing else, should convince every good, God-loving conservative in this country to get out and vote and take a chance on Trump. Yeah, he wasn't my first choice either. But at this point, it seems like it's not the lesser of two evils. It's, are we going to vote a woman in that will give us another 4 years of Barack Obama and the Supreme Court handed to her on a silver platter? I don't think so. And that, I mean, I think I'm as principled and conservative and God-loving as anybody, and that convinces me that I can't possibly not go and cast my vote for anybody but Hillary Clinton.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to address Mitt Romney. I voted for Mitt Romney. I voted for John McCain. My line is falls Mitt Romney. I actually missed Mitt Romney as a result of this election. So
you and I agree on that one, then.
Yeah. So in terms of the Supreme Court, I understand your argument, and where I'm coming from. First of all, here when he was campaigning, when it came, the Supreme Court was appointing somebody like his sister. Then he took a bunch of heat. Now he's saying he came up with this list, which, again, if he follows through with it, and I think that's a very big if, great. Again, he can win my support for a re-election bid by being a good president. I will be delightfully surprised. However, he's already walking that back. Already said that, well, I could end up voting somebody else, appointing somebody else who's not on the list. So but he didn't say somebody diametrically opposed to the ones that he put on there. It could be somebody besides the 11, but he has been consistent in saying he wants a pro-life, pro-constitutional judge. Am I right, Frank?
Well, they mentioned yesterday that none of these are Harvard grads, which is kind of out of the box from what we've had in the past. So, yeah. If he follows through on it, but I'm with Tom. I mean, we have to take him for his word or you don't, but they put forward this list. It looks like a pretty good list to everybody's opinions. And if this is the type of people, I think he said originally these would be the type of people he would choose from.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was the exact people, but he said This would be the type.
Exactly. And I think that's consistent. And again, if that should convince a lot of people sitting on the fence that, again, he wasn't the first choice of a lot of us. He didn't get more than 50% in these states where he was campaigning. But he is demonstrating enough of a difference between he and Hillary Clinton. Now, we know what we're going to get for Hillary. And, Shane, you're not saying you'd vote for Hillary, and I understand that. I mean, that actually would be an easier thing to take on. It's like we could take on the gentleman that came in, the head of the Polk County Democrat Party. And I ripped him, I think, pretty good in regards to some of Hillary's scandals, and I just barely scratched the surface. That's an easy one. You're a harder one, Shane, because you do agree with us on the issues here. And so you're a harder one to scratch our heads and come up with. I speak for myself, and I think I speak for the rest of us.
Well, didn't you have something that Vince Foster's name got tossed into the media today, Tom?
Today, yeah, he's throwing out some stuff that the media has not wanted to touch. Even the Republicans haven't wanted to touch, guys, for an awful long time. I mean, the issue of Juanita Broderick and all the women that he assaulted. I mean, Broderick and Kathleen Willey and Paula Jones weren't willing participants. They were assaulted by this man.
But he's going to make the case not against Bill. He's going to make the case that Hillary stood by and enabled and cheered this stuff on.
Well, and Vince Foster was a paramour, according to the troopers down there in Arkansas, of Hillary. Bill would give her no attention, so there were weekends that they escorted him up, drove him up to the cabin, the Rose Law Firm, to spend a weekend together. So there was a relationship between Vince Foster and Hillary that goes back. It's not just Bill. No, and you're right. When Juanita Broderick was cornered after the rape by Hillary and grabbed a hold of him and said, "We know that you're going to continue to support us," that was a direct threat, Juanita said, to her if she opened her mouth about Bill raping her in that hotel room. Or wherever it was.
515-244-0077. That's the phone number you can call in and join in the conversation, or you can give us a truth text at the Service Legends Truth Text line, 809-0993.
Hillary is pure, unadulterated evil. Trump may be many things, but he is not evil.
All right, Shane, just a couple minutes left here. I'll give you the last word.
Well, again, I just want to emphasize that I'm not trying to change anybody's mind about who they are voting for, determined by their conscience. Vote your conscience, whether that's voting for Trump or not voting for Trump. I've chosen not to vote for Trump this cycle because my conscience doesn't allow me to do that. I totally respect people who feel differently, and I guess I would just encourage you guys to take another path.
All right, Shane, I appreciate you being on. Look forward to having you on soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, buddy, thanks a lot. Shane Vanderhart from Caffeinated Thoughts. You can catch him at caffeinatedthoughts.com. And his radio program with Brian Myers is every Saturday morning right here at 8 o'clock, and then again at 6 o'clock in the evening. When we come back, a couple little news items to talk about, including, it looks like the flock has come to roost for Bill Cosby. It finally may have happened. We'll talk about that, and also the coach at Roosevelt. We talked about this earlier today. The coach at Roosevelt, Gerald Tig Johnson, who was put on suspension after a 16-year-old girl said that he improperly kissed her and touched her. Well, anyway, he was. They dropped the charges today. Actually, they dropped them Friday, but it hit the press today. Dropped the charges. So what do we as the community that he taught in our public schools, what do we owe him? And by the way, I don't know this man. I've never met this man. I just want to know what we do to somebody after their reputation has been ruined. Ruined. Do we owe him anything? We'll talk about that live when we come back. Next on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for the opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com. and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, 4:50 on the 24th day of May in the Lord's year 2012. J. Michael McCoy, glad to be in the saddle here. You know, I'm so blessed to be able to do this radio program. And I know we don't talk about Jesus enough. I mean, to be honest with you, could we ever talk about Jesus enough? And I'm finally on a radio station where we can talk about it. And, you know, Tuesdays are one of those days that we put politics first. It's not the only day that we talk about politics, but it's a day that you can always plan on us talking about politics. But, you know, I just want to remind you that this radio station is about sharing the gospel. That God, in the skin of a man, came to this earth, never did a thing wrong, spread love everywhere he could, was murdered on a wooden cross, buried, and 3 days he came back to life. And he said he was going to do it. And the prophet said he was going to do it. The prophet said a man in the line of David, the great king, he came back, he died and took all that weight, all of our sins, every sin you've ever committed, every sin you'll ever commit. God changed his covenant with man. That just makes me weep sometimes, to think that my Creator loves me this much and you this much, that he was willing to change the covenant. What other place in the history of the world could a God so powerful, so mighty, able to flood the earth and kill all, unbelievable Mother Nature? You know, they call it Mother Nature. It's just God. You know, she transgendered that day. You know, but the bottom line is he loved us enough that he came and died for us so we can spend eternity with him. Now, it's not fair. If we all got what we deserve, we'd be playing poker with the devil. But because God's mercy and grace is so big, so large, so long, so huge, so enormous, we can't even imagine. It's as far that the east is from the west. So whatever we do on this radio station, remember that we do it to bless him, to worship him, and give thanks for him for everything he's done for us. All right, 515-244-0077. And no, I didn't get a call. I didn't get a text. I didn't get a Facebook. I didn't get anybody chewing me out because we're not talking about Jesus enough. That's what's just on my heart. Jesus is on my heart all the time. I'm just a lucky guy. All right, well, it looks like the roosters have come home to roost. Is that what we'd say, Tom?
Yeah, the chickens.
The chickens.
The chickens have come home to roost.
Jeremiah Wright.
Obama's esteemed, infamous former pastor of 20 years that he never listened to a sermon from said the chickens have come home to roost.
Well, a Pennsylvania judge has found sufficient evidence to hold the Mr. Bill Cosby on felony indecent assault charges in a case involving Andrea Constand. The case will go to trial. Cosby's next court date will be the 20th of July. This is more than after a decade he was first accused of this assault. Cosby faces 3 counts of felony indecent assault from a 2004 case involving Andrea Constand, an employee at his alma mater, Temple University. As he walked into court, Dr. Huxtable, 78 years old, who suffers from vision problems now, held onto the arm of his spokesman, Andrew Wyatt. During the hearing, Cosby appeared to listen attentively and occasionally stretched his neck. Constand was not in court for the hearing.
Do you think there'll be a day that he'll come in court in his pajama bottoms like Michael Jackson and go for the real sympathy play?
Defense attorney Brian McNogle said prosecutors are relying on a statement made by Constant to police 11 years ago. He argued that allowing heresy in the context of his case would be wrong. So what do you think is going to happen? First of all, do you think he did it?
Well, Mac, there's way too much smoke here not to have fire behind this. I mean, there's not this may be an isolated case, but it is a pattern. Many, many women have come forward.
Well, yeah, didn't Time Magazine had a cover with like 20 of them or something?
Oh, yes, and I remember seeing this picture a while back with, in fact, it was funny because the reporting today by MSNBC, did you guys see this?
No.
The anchor of MSNBC, which I never watched that thing, so I don't know the guy's name, but apparently when he was referencing Bill Cosby, he called him Bill Clinton.
That's funny.
That's a funny
I don't
Freudian
care what you
slip.
say right there. That's funny.
So... But the two of them at one point were sitting together, and there's one on Drudge today where he's speaking, Bill Cosby is, and Hillary and her daughter are behind him laughing, and there is, again, it's a pattern. Yeah, Bill Clinton had a pattern of women that cooperated with him, but if they didn't, he went ahead and took it. And I think Bill Cosby's pattern was to drug them, get them unconscious, and then take advantage of them. That was his pattern. If it were one or two, I'd say, maybe they're just, but there's too many instances, just like there is with Bill Clinton, not to think these two are sexual predators. They need to be held responsible. Cosby needs to make compensation to the women that he has abused. I mean, you can't make the thing whole, but in our society of justice, guys, the best you can do after the fact is to give them some financial remuneration to compensate them for their pain and suffering that you've installed on them.
Didn't Cosby himself admit somewhere in some interviews or something that he had applied drugs to women before at some point in his life? He had drugs for that express purpose. Now he denies the allegations that he drugged these women, but I think somewhere he admitted that he had used drugs for the purpose of administering them to women.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, is there any doubt there's way too much smoke on both of these guys, Bill Clinton and Bill Cosby,
well, yeah,
not to be fire?
Well, there's truths, half-truths and outright lies. I'm sure there's some outright lies involved. Where there's smoke, there is fire. But a lot of the latecomers jump in that I think are looking for a paycheck. But I think some of the initial ones that have made reports years ago, those are most likely legitimate allegations.
I agree with you guys. He should make some type of restitution. It just seems like we're so messed up. Today a woman can walk into an abortion clinic and kill a child. That same woman could have been assaulted by Bill Cosby and wants restitution. Where's the restitution for the child? When are we going to start talking about restitution or punishment for people who use abortion as birth control? We're all over this transgendered bathroom thing. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have a report coming out in print, not just my blog, and it's going to surprise you a little bit because I think this transgendered thing may be the real deal. But as Christians, we've had our voices so far right that we have forgotten that it was Jesus' head that was in the center of the cross, and Jesus' heart was in the center of the cross, because that's where love is found, in the center. Let's be nice to people out there. Let's forgive those people that you never thought you'd be able to forgive. Because remember, as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. I'll see you in church.